Welcome back. Days after the Kashmir police filed a case against an army major after 2 civilians died in the incident in Shopian, his father now has moved a petition in the Supreme Court against the FIR that was registered. Major Aditya, the officer who has already given his side of the story, the army has also made it very clear that the convoy opened fire into a crowd as a result of self-defense. The major's father, a decorated army officer himself, pleads that his son was performing his duties assigned by the Government of India in an extremely hostile situation on the ground. In his petition, Major Aditya's father says that the FIR must be quashed to protect the morale of the soldiers who are facing all odds and laying their lives in the line of duty. Editor India Today, Sudhir Ranjan Sen joins us for more on this news. Sudhir, I just wanted to understand from you that wouldn't the Armed Forces Special Powers Act protect an officer or anyone from the army in Kashmir, especially in Shopian?
Well, yes. I mean, there are these levels of protection that are there, for the army operating, in Jammu and Kashmir. It's protected under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. It gives them many powers, and in fact protects them from cases like these also. What we must keep in mind is that an FIR has been registered. It names a particular officer, in this case Major Aditya, which the army has said he was not there. The army itself has given its counter to the FIR with the local police, saying, giving its point of view of how the entire situation unfolded, and therefore the army cannot be blamed. So the father of the soldier, again moving the court, perhaps, the government hasn't come out with a view, but perhaps is a kind of an action or a reaction from a concerned father. Really, if you look at it, it's the Jammu Kashmir police, which is part of the state, part of India, which is registered in FIR. It's not somebody else who has registered in FIR. And all cases like these in Jammu and Kashmir, there are FIRs registered. They do not name anybody, that accepted. But, this issue, as far as the military is concerned, is not a very big issue.
And why is that?
Because the military feels that, the Jammu Kashmir police, with which they operate very closely, and more so now in the last few years and months, there is a perfect understanding. And this is, the registration of the FIR is more a signal to the local population, rather than trying to, go after the army or prevent them from moving, or trying to stall their operation.
So was this some sort of a healing touch by the PDP? Because you have seen both the allies, locking horns and the rift within the alliance only being exposed when this FIR was registered against an army officer.
Yes, I mean, a lot of politics went over it. The BJP, so to say, criticized its own ally. Then we had the Chief Minister, Mufti, making a statement in the House saying that the FIR, the Defence Minister was aware of the FIR being filed. It is definitely a signal, and more a signal to the local population that, the government, the rule of law is there. It is not that the people are not cared for, and every death is important and will be looked into. That is the kind of signal that the FIR tried to give. And that is also, subsequent to the FIR, the discussions or the interactions that the military have had with the Jammu Kashmir police. That is what the sense that the Defence Ministry and the military has got.
Right. We also have with us strategic affairs expert RSN Singh right now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, good afternoon. Thanks so much for speaking to us. So, that's the update that has come in the Shopian incident. The father of the army officer has now moved the Supreme Court. He wants the FIR against his son to be dropped. But why did things have to arrive at this? I mean, isn't it unfortunate that the father of an army officer who was there in the situation and was, surrounded by a stone-pelting mob has to now knock at the doors of the Supreme Court? Because the army has clearly given its response and saying that they responded to the ultimate provocation.
No, I was listening to the previous commentator, and if I may tell him that there is absolutely no dispute about the FIR. The dispute, the anguish here is about naming this officer. That is the anguish, and the father's anguish is very, very legitimate. Now, I mean, it is not a criminal. People who don the uniform, let me tell you, also belong to very, very honorable families. It does not. It takes a lot to produce a son to become an officer of the army. More than intellect or any other attribute, the biggest attribute of an officer is his character, and that is why he is called an officer and a gentleman. Now, I mean, a young man carrying out his legitimate duties, and the state can't take care of him. Then imagine he has his whole career.
True. Sir, I just have to interrupt you there. Just excuse me for doing that. I'm just going to come to you because the lawyer right now is speaking to India Today, the lawyer representing the family. Let's listen in.
Is going to be set in motion against them. FIRs are going to be...
Okay, so we're trying and getting the reaction there of the lawyer. But Mr. Arun Singh, if you're there with me right now, apologies to have interrupted you there. Are you saying that there should have been a generic FIR that could have been registered without naming anybody in it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is very, very, being very clever and at the same time being very cynical. I mean, at least I am not able to, comprehend. And if you have any other views on it,
Why is it difficult for you to comprehend, sir? Are you suggesting that this was done at the behest of, some authority or the state government, the PDP, which, have also dropped cases against stone-pelters?
I suppose, I suggest why should there be a FIR against the government?
Okay.
After all, the government is supposed to ensure that this kind of a situation...
Right. We seem to have lost contact there with Mr. Arun Singh, but very interesting, news coming in right now with the officer's father, Major Aditya's father, now approaching the Supreme Court. Shuja-ul-Haq is also with us, and the Shopian incident. Okay, before I come to you, Shuja, right now, I've just been told that a legal correspondent, Anusha, is speaking to the lawyer representing the family. Let's go and listen in.
Proceeding in official duty, it was the responsibility of the local police. There is local intelligence, local police to ensure they get a safe passage. Right. They are allowed to go without all that. And instead of allowing all that, they'll go and lodge an FIR against Major Aditya.
My last question to you about the politicization of this entire matter and the way it has gone. Though one can't comment on the state government as to what they are doing, but the soldiers and the security personnel are often caught in the crossfire. As a lawyer, where do you think one should draw the line when it comes to taking the right action against the people, whether they are in army or in security forces, and ensuring at the same time that the morale of the security forces on the ground is not deterred?
Anusha, not just as a lawyer, but as a Fauji kid myself, I feel very strongly about it. And it is a privilege for me to be doing this case, to be representing, somebody who's himself a Kargil war veteran, and this is the second generation who's there in the forces. And politics and politicizing aside, what is important is forces are there and their morale has to be upheld and protected at all costs. If we are not going to protect bona fide actions of our soldiers and our officers of the Indian Army who are protecting the dignity of the Indian flag, then we are in a very, very serious situation. And it's not like their fundamental rights are any less or they can be discounted in any manner.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking.
Shopian mein
Okay, so the lawyer there saying that now it's up to the courts to have decided, and she's right now giving another reaction in Hindi. She just now spoke to Anusha Soni, but just let's listen in to what the lawyer is saying, Aishwarya Bhatti, who's representing Major Aditya in the Supreme Court.
बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, इसीलिए हमारे को सीधा सुप्रीम कोर्ट आना पड़ा और हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने ये सारे फैक्ट्स सामने रखे हैं अपनी पिटिशन में, जो वेरियस वर्जन्स आ रहे हैं फैक्ट्स के, और ये हाईलाइट किया है कि जब ऑफिसर्स और सोल्जर्स बोनाफाइड ड्यूटी अपनी निभाते हैं तिरंगे की डिग्निटी को अपहोल्ड करने के लिए, अल्टीमेटली क्या कर रहे हैं वो नेशन की सिक्योरिटी, सॉवरेंटी और इंटीग्रिटी को अपहोल्ड कर रहे हैं। और उन बोनाफाइड एक्शंस के लिए अगर उन पे FIR होती है तो ना केवल ये एक पूरे फोर्सेस के मोराल के लिए बहुत खतरनाक है, पर नेशनल सिक्योरिटी को भी इंडेंजर करती है।
इसको ये राजनीतिक रंग भी इसको दिया जा रहा है, क्योंकि जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार इस मामले पर मौन है, कुछ बोल नहीं रही है।
देखिए, जो भी वर्जन्स आए हैं, राजनीतिक वर्जन्स आए हैं, उस पर हमें कोई कॉमेंट नहीं करना है। हम यहाँ पे सोल्जर्स सोल्जर की तरफ से आए हैं, जिन सोल्जर के खुद के फादर भी सोल्जर हैं, वो खुद एक कारगिल वॉर वेटरन है, डेकोरेटेड सोल्जर हैं। तो यहाँ हम जो सोल्जर्स हैं उनकी प्लाइट को हाईलाइट करने के लिए आए हैं, और हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स, सोल्जर्स के फंडामेंटल राइट्स किसी भी तरह से डिस्काउंट नहीं किए जा सकते, स्पेशली जब वो बोनाफाइड एक्शंस निभा रहे हैं और इतनी होस्टाइल सिचुएशन में अपनी ड्यूटी को निभा रहे हैं।
तो आपने अर्ली हियरिंग के लिए भी इनसे अपील की?
हम कल मेंशन करेंगे अर्ली हियरिंग के लिए।
यानी
किससे is with me. Shuja, the Shopian incident really became a bone of contention between the state's ruling alliance of the PDP and the BJP. And you know, it's so unfortunate things have come down to this point where an army officer's father has been left with no choice but to approach the Supreme Court and get the FIR quashed against his son.
Well, Avantika, there are, many ways of looking at this entire case. You know, it is definitely snowballed into a major controversy. One, it's a difficult thing for the government to explain on the ground because, we know that the government here is an alliance between PDP and BJP. While the PDP seems to be, leading the government, and they have taken this decision of going ahead and filing this FIR through the J&K police, the BJP has been criticizing them. As far as the police is also concerned, they are also in a difficult situation here. I spoke to many top officials of the J&K police over this case, in last few weeks, and most of them feel that they are only doing their duty. The constitution, the law demands them to investigate a case when there are allegations made. Here we are not only looking at the army's perspective. Army has said in a statement that they fired upon the people only when they are attacked. But the other side, the people have been alleging that the army used excessive force. So what is the way of finding the truth? The only way of finding the truth is to investigate the matter, and for that the police has every right to file an FIR.
No, I think the objection here is on the naming of the officer. In this particular case, the objection being raised is on the name of the officer being mentioned in the FIR. The army states that a generic or a general FIR could have been registered, and the police should have first investigated and found out just what had triggered the unrest, what led to the deaths. Tell me something, Shuja, have you seen in the past an FIR being registered or lodged and the officers being named? Because this is now becoming, the PDP versus the BJP and the army versus the state police.
Well, Avantika, Kashmir, and the trouble here is decades old.
Yes.
And there have been several instances where the army has been accused of human rights violations, excessive force, and thereby there have been many cases that have been filed against the armed forces. In fact, in many cases, there have been, courts have directly even reached to the level of prosecuting the army officers. And in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, we all know that Armed Forces Special Powers Act is in force.
Yes.
And the only way of prosecuting a force personnel is to first get an go ahead from the MHA, and that's the point here. The government faces a tough situation here with its own people on the ground criticizing it for inaction, and when they take some action in terms of legalities, then it has to face the the families of the armed forces, outside.
No, absolutely. It's a very complex, a very sensitive situation. But what's unfortunate is the politics that's played in incidents like these. Shuja, I'll just have to leave it at that. But thank you so much for joining us earlier. I did get a chance to speak to retired Major General G.D. Bakshi about the officer's father now moving the Supreme Court against the FIR lodged against his son. Let's listen in.
May I just remind everybody present here that I hope you remember that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is in vogue in Jammu and Kashmir. Under provision section 4 of that act, the armed forces personnel operating there on bona fide military operations and in good faith are provided legal protection from precisely this kind of a legal harassment. Who has revoked the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, if you please? I mean, people are making it like it is one hell of a complicated legal conundrum. It is straight and clear. It is straight and clear. The state government cannot take action against that officer.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.